Welcome back to Full Court Press, fast break news show to bring you amazing MLQ content all season long. My name is Whitney Ho.
And my name is Nicholas Love, and we're just gonna hop straight into the action starting out here in week number two. First off, we had an exhibition series with the Minneapolis Monarchs and the Chicago Prowls practice squad Meow Stars, with Minnie pulling out the win 2-1. I do have a lot of thoughts about the game, particularly things that were going on, players that were playing out of position, a bunch of stuff like that. But I'm also gonna have you read Brandon Cabana's review of that series on our website. So make sure you go check it out there. The other great thing that happened this weekend is that the New York Titans successfully defended, or actually technically attacked, Washington's home court in a clean 3-0 sweep. Whitney, tell me about the series, some of the thoughts that you had about the New York Washington series.
Okay, well, before we get into actual gameplay, I want to get this off my chest right now. I saw the vision behind the new New York jerseys at first, and then seeing them on screen, I'm just not really a fan. I'm not gonna lie. What do you think?
I think they're fine. I It is what it is. I mean, it's New York. There, you got the bridge there. It's cool.
It was the sleeves. It was the sleeves that was throwing me, I feel like.
Some people like sleeves, some people don't. I'm really more interested to see their taxi jerseys when they get to play at
Oh,
home,
yeah, those
because
are
I know those got
nice.
a lot of mixed reviews online. So seeing about those for sure. But you know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, Washington, I gotta start off by saying I was pretty disappointed in Washington this week, unfortunately. Part my pick'ems, let's just say that. I had Washington taking a game off. I had Washington getting up like a few catches, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and it just did not go well for me in that area. So yeah, I was a little sad to see Washington go down like that, especially with such a close game one. I thought that, if they came out really hard game one and knocked it off, they would be in such a great spot going forward, but didn't end up going their way. So
Yeah. Really, I think this comes down to game one, realistically. Went back, watched some of the film. Washington had 12 turnovers in the half court on purely errant passes, drop passes, or passing into a person with a beater standing next to them. Like, those are 12 possessions that you might have in a two-score game that you can come out and win that game one that flips his whole series on his head. Like, that's just kind of unacceptable on Washington's part to have that many in that close of a game. Like, you're playing what's currently Fast Break News is like number two ranked team. Like, we just need execution there to be able to pull off those games. And you were right there because New York was struggling as well. Like, you need to finish those games, but those 12 turnovers were extremely costly. And so, like, it's kind of sad and disappointing on that side for Washington. I thought Caitlin Breslow had a great series, was super like all over the field, diving for loose balls, getting after it. Had 4 goals on the weekend, and a couple that should have also been goals from my point of view, looking at the film. But like maybe refs had a better angle if they say so. But I Caitlin had a great series, and I think it's gonna have to ride the energy that Caitlin brought compared to some of the other Washington players. But I thought they looked pretty good.
yeah, Caitlin definitely deserves a shout out. She actually, along with John Gaffigan, she and John lead their team with goals scored, and she also tallied an assist and 2 stops for the series. So she had an absolutely stellar showing. Definitely was a highlight while we were watching Washington for sure.
Yeah, Colin Bourne also looked like extremely well throughout the series, like played a ton of minutes. And of course, like the plus minus based on the actual series and what that looked like. But I thought Colin did really well. Nathan Junn and Zan Siddiqui did extremely well. And it's actually like maybe they need to get a little bit more time on the field, or maybe putting them on separate lines to bolster some of the other lines for a little bit more, different style of play compared to what a lot of the DCQC players are normally used to. That might have helped out a little bit. Just a suggestion. I'm not a coach there, but maybe that could have helped for this weekend to give you a little bit more life and energy, for what at times felt very stale and flat for Washington for sure.
Yeah, I definitely thought that UVA had, like, specifically on the Admirals had a really good showing this weekend, specifically because of how they came out together. We do often see DCQC and UVA lines kind of separated on the Admirals. And in game one, especially, when they brought the UVA line out, I noticed like an immediate shift in energy. Like those UVA kids definitely, know how to go hard. They know how to just put a team on their heels, like especially Nathan and Zan and Joey. I thought that they did well for at least how well the series went for Washington. I also think that UVA deserved a little bit more time on the field, just in general. I think a lot of those rookies didn't really get a bunch of minutes, like namely Kamari Parker. I saw that he didn't get a bunch of time. I know he had a few goals over the weekend, so kind of like it was a good debut. I'm really excited to see how well he does against other teams in their division later on in the season. But transitioning back to New York, I do think New York did great in the half court offense. That was definitely something that helped them elevate them over Washington. That along with all their fast breaks and great stops on defense. And speaking of defense, we have to talk about Zach Donofrio. He had an amazing showing, amazing debut for New York this weekend.
Yeah, Zach being able to play defense really elevates like Zach's game that I think at least I didn't personally see a lot in Boston just because of either the way that Boston plays or just like the other teams that they're going up against. But like Zach showed that like he should be there as a keeper, making those hits up top, being in those passing lanes. Like Zach played amazing and got a lot of stops for the team. That also transitioned into a lot of goals as well. And so, like, I think Zach had a great showing and a great debut for the Titans, in which is going to get Zach a lot more playing time in the future as well. So, like, super happy about that. Another person that deserves a great shout out that had a great series in New York, Vinny Iannucci, scoring
Yeah.
goals, catching flags. Like, what else can you ask for? Like, I think Vinny had an incredible series in scoring the ball and getting good passes. Like, you could hear Vinny on film, like asking for stuff, especially when they were playing with Frank, like back and forth. Like, that was great. And so I think Vinny also had an extremely great series as well.
Definitely. Yeah. Vinny like is always a great secret to throw out there. And especially like I know Zan got that catch in game one and that was, a great moment from Zan, but specifically, but I think in game two and three, Vinny just dominated. Like he really knew how to work with not only the beaters is like on like SOP, but also throughout the game as a chaser. He was definitely a double threat throughout the whole weekend.
Yeah, for sure. But one thing that we do want to bring you all every single week are MVPs from the series, just to give a little bit of highlight to some players that we thought made amazing plays, had great stats, or really took over series in a lot of different ways. And so my personal MVP from the New York Washington series is Shrina Shah. Now, people might look at me and be like, Nick, like Leo almost had a triple double. Like Jason Rosenberg had a 1.68 average dodgeballs and 35 drives. Molly Potter had 7 goals to assist to turnover ratio. Had amazing assists to put games away. But like Shrina's your MVP, I'm gonna show you why Shrina's my MVP. Game one, tied 110 to 110, 2 goals left in the game. Shrina playing as a free beater in this particular play wins New York the game hands down, right? Shrina applying pressure, whether or not they were able to tip the ball or strip the ball from Joey's hands or just be in that space to catch Joey off guard or get Joey rattled a little bit to get this ball out so Tate can make that beat, that won them the game. New York had control for the rest of the other next 3 possessions to put the game away because they took control away in this particular play. Like that's what wins people's games, and that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But this is how they won game one, defeated Washington, and being able to lift that energy and say like, okay, we're about to go in and finish game two, in which they did in a very much stronger fashion. Like these are the plays that go unsung. So for my MVP for the series, give me Shrina.
That's a great pick. Yeah, Shrina definitely deserves recognition. That play, I honestly didn't even notice it at first. Like when we were talking about the game later, he was like, "Oh, look at this one specific moment," and then everything clicked. Like that was genuinely such a turning point, specifically in that game because Washington had gotten a quick catch off, and it looked like they were coming back, and definitely a turning point. But my MVP of the series, going off of that, it should be no shock to anyone. And he was named MLQ Player of the Week for a reason. So definitely give me Leo Freed. He is leading the league in goals, assists, and stops right now. And I know that that's a little skewed just because there's only been one official series, but he had an amazing performance. The official statistics, I'm sure you guys all saw them on MLQ's Instagram, but 10 goals, 9 assists, and 9 stops, and only 5 turnovers. So definitely a great weekend for Leo. There's a couple other people that I want to shout out who are my close nominees for MVP. Number one is Mike Lee. I think Mike Lee was amazing during SOP during all 3 games, especially game one. Like they put him on right after 20 minutes and he went like immediately scored a goal, had an assist. Him and Molly were working really well together, and that was just such like a huge punch to Washington right in the gut, and it allowed them to, change the momentum a little bit. So Mike had a great, great weekend. And then also Zach, I know we talked about him earlier, but he had an amazing debut for New York, especially in game 2, where we really got to see him shine both on offense and on defense. He had, I think, 3 goals that game. And then finally, for a beater, I want to say Max from New York. He also had a great weekend. He had 6 stops, a 1.696 average, and 23 drives, and also finished with a plus minus of 7. So we had some amazing players throughout the whole series that definitely all deserve recognition. For my clip, though, we're going back to Leo. Um, it happened in game 1, post 20 minutes. So this was during that crazy, crazy snitch on pitch. Leo throws up a shot over, I don't know, like 3 people, throws a shot up. It gets blocked, goes straight in the air. He's following the ball, catches it with one hand, and dunks it on the hoop. Like that's the type of player that you want to see early on in the series. This is game 1 of the first series of the season, and he's already like putting this much effort, and he's following all his shots. He's making sure that everything finishes. Like we're seeing him like enter this season ready to take back the national championship. So yeah,
It's hard to say no to Leo. When you make plays like that, like what can you say? What can you
yeah.
say?
But for our previews this week, we're going to start with Charlotte versus Detroit, which is going to be held this Saturday in Livonia, Michigan at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So, Nick, what do we need to know for this series?
Home series for Detroit. Happy to bring Charlotte into the fold. Excited to actually be able to play them during the regular season. For people that aren't familiar, last year we were able to play them in MLQ champs for the final game of the play-in bracket to decide who got that last position for the actual championship bracket. We lost to them 160 to 125 in a pretty close game. Really a largely transition game for Charlotte, and us just trying to find a lot of ways to score goals. And so it was a really physical back and forth battle, and I think both teams had a really great, had a great time, and it was a really great game. And so being able to finish that season for us last year with Charlotte and then start this next season for us, like super excited for that. And to really for us, to get our lick back and get our wins this weekend for us. But as a player and a coach, like I'm feeling great heading in. We are missing a couple pieces for this weekend. Most notably, we're missing John Jackson. Ray is also not going to be able to be rostered for this weekend, and so we are missing some people. But like I said, like I'm feeling great. I'm ready to play Charlotte. I'm ready to come out with some wins.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how Detroit builds on their season from last year. The last year was kind of a down year, sort of in Detroit's history. But that game at Champs against Charlotte, it was a close series, and I'm really excited to see how they continue to grow. How y'all seem to mesh with some new people, with some losses. But I also think that this series is really huge for Charlotte specifically. This is a really big division shape up for them. And I think that Detroit, no offense, Cleveland, but I think Detroit is their threat in the Gateway division. And if they can win the series, they're going to be in a really great spot to win their division. And yeah, I mean, I think Charlotte has a really good opportunity to come to Detroit and set their season off in the right way.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like this is really gonna to open up the division in a lot of great ways. Washington, New York was a great way to start the MLQ season, and we'll talk a little bit more about Houston and KC and thoughts about that. But I think for me, this is a series of the week. to really see where teams are feeling in a really great competitive series. And so I'm excited. I am going to abstain from predictions this week because I am playing. I don't want to, seem biased in any ways. But yeah, like it's going to be a great series, and I think you all should definitely watch and tune in at 7:30 Eastern time, or show up to our field and buy some tickets to help out Detroit too and Charlotte.
Definitely always encourage going to see MLC games in person. It's so much more fun than watching it on a stream. But with that, I'm not going to abstain. Give me Charlotte in two. I love you, Nick, but just from looking at the rosters, I think Charlotte has a more complete team heading into this series. But later on in the series, if or in the season, sorry, if we get John Jackson and Ray Roger back, and these two teams get to meet each other in the Central Conference Championship, I think Detroit definitely can take a series out from under them. So now for our LOQ series of the week, the Kansas City Stampede versus the Houston Legends. So this is a must-watch matchup, and it's going to be held this Saturday at the infamous Cattle Dome in Topeka, Kansas at 4:30 p.m. CT. So how are you feeling about this series, Nick?
I'm just excited to see Kansas play. Fast Break News has them ranked currently at number one. If you watch Tea Time, the coaches poll had them at three. Um, Regardless, you're going to get a top three team in MLQ season playing this weekend. And so, what that team looks like out of all of their additions, both from Minneapolis coming in, some Creighton additions, people coming back to the team, like they're must watch TV. Now, how they decide to actually play lines, come together, what is that chemistry going to look like when actually playing up against a really strong and physical team in Houston? Like, we'll have to see what that looks like this weekend, especially because, they have a ton of upside because of the new pieces and additions that they also brought in, right? So cohesiveness was a big part of like how the Copperheads were very successful this past season. And so if they're able to continue to bring a lot of that, that chemistry, those good vibes into like the MLQ season, like I can't see why Houston wouldn't make this a competitive series for Kansas City, especially if they're not in that cohesive mindset. But we'll see what happens. Like KC has a lot of athletes, and sometimes you just need to in the South, you just need to have a bunch of athletes and out athlete somebody. So I'm excited to see what it looks like and the lines that come together. More importantly, and who has chemistry with who on the field.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Kansas City has an amazing chance to show everyone why Fast Break News voted them number one. First series of the season, boosted roster in the Cal Dome. Like, I think that this against Houston, I think that they definitely have a great chance to, start the season off with a bang. But I don't want that to overshadow Houston because I think Houston looks great. And obviously, I think this has some bias because I know all of these people pretty much personally. But I think that they've gotten a huge roster boost. Like Nick said, they got some great additions from Heat and Milena and Riley, and then also UTSA. Well, they got almost the entirety of UTSA, and that's crazy to me. Sorry, but UTSA decided to go Houston this year, and they also have a lot of brand new Sam Houston rookies who played their first season last season and are really looking to develop from under these players. Specifically, I want to shout out Peter Daisy Alfaro. She was amazing for Sam Houston this last year, and I'm really excited to see her in this series and how she's going to grow. Um, but I also think that the return of Mejio to Kansas City is just it's going to be huge, and I don't think Houston can let Kansas City like get going at all because it's going to be hard to stop them. The main way I think for Houston to keep this series within their reach is for their beaters just to lock in. I need their beaters to lock in, and that's going to be some great television, great quad ball. So very, very excited. So Nick, what's your prediction for this series?
Um, KC 3-0, stay beefy. Defend the dome. That pretty simple there. I want to see it. I think personally, I have KC up there, so we'll see how it comes together, and hopefully, KC proves me right, or in a lot of other cases, I hope Houston proves me wrong. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that. I also think Kansas City is gonna sweep 3-0. Houston, I don't think if you guys lose 3-0, I don't think we have a problem yet. But depending on how the weekend goes, we may have a problem. I want to see a great weekend from Houston. I don't care if they lose. I just want to see them play well.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. So hopefully, we'll get some great quad ball in this weekend from Kansas. But transitioning into our next section, Nick, do you have any hot takes for our week 2 matchups?
Matchup wise, I don't really think so. Really, first thing that comes to mind, where are my quad clips from week one? That's kind of like I wake up in the morning on MLQ Saturdays. I get a bowl of cereal, pull up my phone, I hit news, I hit quad clips MLQ week one, and they're not there. Like, where are my quad clips? Like, that's what I live for, especially because taunting is legal in MLQ. So like, I want to see them. So sad I wasn't able to get quad clips for last week. I did fill out the form for this week, so hopefully I see them when I wake up on Saturday morning, and I'm getting excited for the Charlotte series that I get to see if my responses were chosen. But I need my quad clips. Also want to say, last episode, I predicted we were going to Kansas City for Central Conference Championships. I just want to say that. So I know what I'm talking about here. You know, we're legit. We're a legit show here. We know ball.
Yeah,
We know ball.
we know the script. Okay, they leaked the script to us actually. So,
Um,
speaking of the script, the
yeah,
Spurs.
the script was blown yesterday. I honestly don't know what to say. I'm disappointed in San Antonio. I had high hopes. You're up by 25 at halftime. You're looking great. You're making shots. Second half, we just get destroyed. 29 points, lead blown. You score 29 points in the second half. Wemby's taking 40-foot threes. Offensive rebound, back to another 40-foot three. Like, what are we doing? Like, just bad ball, unethical hoops. Um, but congratulations to the Knicks. Like that's all I have to say. Although, like as a Detroit Pistons fan, it's sad to say. But it also just kind of reminded me like that could have been what UVA was, last year during champs or nationals when they came back against Creighton. Like they were right there. They were right there. But
That would have been
they got the
historic,
OG
dude.
Pippen.
Ugh,
Riley Usami was standing there, turned around when the floater was made. So, you
that
know,
was insane. I have my thoughts about that game. Actually, I don't think I can say them publicly, but I will say I have been LARPing being a Spurs fan like this entire like season pretty much. I'm a Cavs fan because I'm from Ohio, but that was just such a imagine being a Knicks fan right now. Like
yeah.
genuinely, they get everything. They get Mondami, they get the Knicks. Like it's unfair.
So it's a great time to be a New Yorker. I'm not gonna lie. Just having Mom Donnie in himself, like, what more to ask for?
Genuinely.
What more could you
Genuinely.
ask for? A Knicks championship? Like, I just
That would
know
be
if
huge.
if I'm the Knicks, I might lose the next game just to bring back Game 6 to the Garden, and we just burn the city down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe that's the script. Maybe it's Spurs in seven. I don't know. We'll have to see
Maybe. Maybe.
in a couple more days.
We
Um,
will definitely have to see. I'm so excited to see how this plays out. We have so much good sports are well, so many good sports are, happening. Sports events are happening right now. But back to quad ball. So we actually are going to add another section to our show where we say our fantasy lineups for the this upcoming week. I did not participate in fantasy last week because I forgot. But Nick, I believe you were very close to top 10.
yeah, yeah. Was number 11. One thing that I do want to say, in accordance to that, as a reminder for people that are doing fantasy, do not make your quad ball lineups until the rosters drop. Last week, a lot of people had Adrian and Ed Beater, and Adrian was not rostered. I just checked as before the show started. Me and Whitney were sitting here talking about our fantasy lineups. 40% of people chose John Jackson. John Jackson is not playing this weekend. We can't be doing this, y'all. So please just set your lineups for Friday and let's do them on Friday together as a community so we're not having these bad scores.
Like we're
Because
looking
I'm,
out for you guys.
I'm,
We
I'm
are.
taking pride in them and I'm talking trash to people who are not up there. So
Yeah.
we're cracking
Yep.
the top 10 this week.
Yep. Yep. I'm gonna be in the top 10 this week too. So let me get started. I want to say that I had the chaser line first. Okay, I'm getting that down right now. I had
Not
the
true.
chaser line first. I texted it to Nick before he made his chaser line.
Not true.
But I'm gonna go with number one, Ryan Mejia. All right, Kansas City Chaser. That's almost a guaranteed points bucket, at least in my opinion. And then also from Kansas City, I'm gonna go Lauren Smith. That's a amazing female chaser. I think she's gonna give me a lot of points this weekend. Gwen Pratt from Detroit. Probably going to be playing a lot of minutes this weekend, just from looking at the roster. But my final chaser is going to be Nick. Nick was ranked above points,
Yeah.
like above DME in the points, and only how many percentage of people picked you? Like
Like
17,
14, something like that. But it,
14%?
that's their loss. Their loss.
Yeah, yeah,
Their loss.
insane. So for my beaters, I'm gonna go with Javi from Houston. I think Houston's just gonna throw him out there and say, you know what, go do what you do best. And I think he's gonna pull in a lot of stops. Hopefully, please, Javi, save me. Um, and then my other beater was originally Lauren Curry before the rosters came out. See, this is why we wait for the rosters to drop because I would have submitted my Lauren Curry on it. But my final beater is going to be Selin Richard from Charlotte. I think that's going to be a great pick. Hopefully they give me a lot of points. And for my seeker, this was a tough one for me just because I think that Nick gave me a little insider information. I will say that the seeker that usually seeks in Detroit is pretty solid. So I originally had Ryan Davis as my seeker, but I'm going to go back on that and then turn my attention to KC and Houston. That kind of left me with the who's going to seek in the KC like lineup because generally Houston is not much of like a seeking focused team. So I kind of had to take a gamble and just guess who's going to be seeking for Kansas City this weekend. Hopefully I got it right, but I'm going to go with Henry Hamilton. And we're going to see, hopefully, Kansas City, they see this and they put him on the seeking roster just because, please. But if not, it's okay. And then finally, for my wild card, I'm going to go with beater Addie Himmelman from Mizzou. Hopefully, she gets a lot of minutes this weekend against Houston and can definitely get up there in stops. And we'll see how my lineup does.
Yeah. It's a solid lineup. Again, uh, that KC secret room, like we don't know what that looks like, but like it might be
Yeah,
Henry. And if it's Henry,
maybe,
like that's an incredible pull right there.
maybe. I hope so.
So
I
we'll
hope so.
see. We'll see. Um, yeah, so for my lineup, I had the chaser line first. I had this set. Don't listen to what Whitney said. Um, so we had the same one. I was really struggling between should I go for Ryan or should I go for Vince. I was really struggling. Like Vince is an automatic bucket, gonna get you a lot of incredible goals. Um, Ryan is gonna give you goals and assists. I think what it came down to is that I think Ryan is going to be keeping. Ryan might be getting a lot more tackles and stops up top. That might give me a little bit more extra points. So I'm going to go with Ryan. Although Vince might give me more goals. I don't know. We'll see. But I gave Ryan. Lauren Smith was an easy pick. I think in the MLQ pick'ems, it was Lauren or Mallory. I have Lauren 7-4. We'll see what happens this week on goals. Because before it was 5-4. So I think Lauren 7, Mallory 4. But I am a little bit nervous about that because if they're up a lot, Lauren is going to be on the sideline coaching. So I'm nervous about it. I will say that. In which Mallory might get more playtime and more opportunities. So I don't know. We'll see what actually happens. And then I have Gwen rounding it out. Me and Gwen for Detroit. Like, why would I not choose myself? You got to bet on yourself from time to time.
Obviously. If it's allowed, you should be allowed to bet
Uh,
on yourself.
and plus, like again, like I think I was top five in male chaser stats, and again was rostered 40% to John Jackson, who's not playing, and then 14% me. So again, take that as you will. But if you didn't roster me, as Whitney can suggest, when we do our own fast break pick'ems, people lose if you don't pick me.
I
So
didn't pick him last year, and
I
oh
would
my
I
God.
would pick I would pick myself 10 out of 10 times. But again, those are your fantasy, do what you will.
I love my list.
Finally got my beaters. Channing is gonna Channing is probably the best beater in KC. gonna take over games, gonna be extremely fast and change paces of games that which Houston might not be ready for, depending on which line Shannon comes in on. Give me a Shannon there to get a lot of dodgeballs, as well as get a lot of stops. And then I'm also gonna go Celine. I had the incredible opportunity to beat with Celine for the USNT camp after Winter Classic. Celine is an incredible beater. USNT shout out like Celine does incredible beating, and so I'm excited to play against Celine this week as a chaser. But Celine is going to be easy lock there. Um, for Seeker, I'm repping Detroit this weekend. Jackson Massey gonna get me a catch this weekend, especially because we're going to be winning dodgeball control. So give me Jackson there to catch. And then in my wild card spot, like who do I go? Right, I can flex it a lot of different ways. I'm thinking about, um, but you always gotta play devil's advocate, right? I think we're gonna have dodgeball control and get catches, but there's also opportunity that we don't have dodgeball control and get catches, where Ryan Davis can come in as the Team USNT seeker and get some catches, as well as a lot of goals. So I'm gonna have Ryan Davis as my wild card pick, and I'm feeling confident. This feels top 10 secured, but we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, I really like the thought of putting a chaser slash seeker in the wild card. I think that that is a very good way to maximize points. And as you can see, I went with a beater this time, and we're gonna see how well that works out for me going into this upcoming week. And we'll keep you all posted on how well we do next episode. But finally, our last but not least section is our fun stuff. And this time around, me and Nick have created a little game for each other, but also all of you guys. And we want to see you guys trying to kind of solve this puzzle. We're going to be guessing the MLQ player. So me and Nick have both prepared one player. We've gotten three categories: the MLQ team of the player, the USQ team, parenthesis S of the player, and like a wild card, which is just a clue that we think will help you kind of figure it out. So I'm gonna go first. My player, their MLQ teams, because their current MLQ team is the Houston Legends, but a previous MLQ team that they have played for is the San Antonio Soldados. The USQ teams of this player, when this player was in college, was UTSA, and the current USQ team is Heat. And then the wild card is this player was a 2026 Shark Attack Classic champion. So, do you have any guesses?
So it's tough, right? I was really thinking about this before. Like who could this be? Um, you said their current team is the Legends, right?
Yes.
So I have some people in mind, but it was really the San Antonio, right? Where did they just come over? Right. We just had three transfers from San Antonio to Houston
Mhm.
that played for UTSA, that had a little bit of run with Heat.
Yep.
The big I don't know who played at Shark Attack. I wasn't there.
You need to
Somebody
lock
did.
in. We streamed it. We streamed the whole thing. We
In
streamed
a
the
lot
whole
of
thing.
ways, I wasn't watching quad ball that weekend. In a lot of ways, I don't know who this could be. I truly don't know.
Fair.
Like this is a 1 in 3 shot I got.
You got it.
They all fit the profile. But the person I didn't say earlier that I was thinking about is that Javi. Give me Javi. Give me Javi.
Bobby. Okay, that's a good guess. I'm not gonna say if you got it right or not because I want to see who else, who other people, if other people can guess it. But that
I
was a
think
good guess. That was a good guess. So
I think yeah, I think Javi. Because I didn't say Javi earlier. I'm gonna go with Javi this time. So
yeah.
we'll see. People can have thoughts and guess themselves. For my person, MLQ team started on the Houston Legends, have now been rostered and played for the Boston Forge for 2 years. Their USQ team, they played for the University of Texas. Is it at Austin?
Yes, at Austin.
At Austin, UT, hook 'em, right? Right.
Thumbs up.
Also played for Chaos Quadball. Wild card, just to put it down a little bit. She is a national champion.
Oh, okay. A UT national champion. Thank you. Thank you. But I actually
I
do know who
mean,
this is. I know
AF could have won a national championship. You don't know.
I know exactly who this is. And the way that I got this is the Houston Legends to the Boston transfer that I feel like that only points to one person. And it's gonna be Swathi. I think it's Swathi. So yeah, definitely a huge star for Boston and for Chaos. I definitely think that that's gonna be my lock answer.
Hey, I don't know if you're right. I don't know if you're right. Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. I don't even know
Maybe,
the answer. It's just stuff I wrote down. People that came to
maybe.
mind.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. But next week we'll be back and we're gonna recap week 2, which includes both Charlotte versus Detroit and Houston versus Kansas City. And we'll also preview Washington versus Boston and Minneapolis versus Chicago for real this time. Maybe if we have time, I can even talk a little bit about the World Cup. See.
Ooh,
We'll see.
Mexico and South Africa just played. It was
Yeah.
a tight
Three red
game.
cards. Three red cards.
Yeah. Feel free to comment if there's any other special quad ball events, that are happening throughout the summer, different storylines, or just random stuff that, you want us to talk about and yap about. Because since we have the platform, might as well. Follow us
Yep.
on Instagram at FBN_quad ball. Like, comment, subscribe, do what everything else that it says on YouTube. Share is a button, right?
And
Something like
hit
that.
that bell so you can get notification. No.
Hey,
Sorry.
I mean, why not? We coming out on Fridays. Make sure to
Yeah.
read our
Yep.
previews and other articles that are coming out. Yeah, let's get it.
See y'all next week.